So welcome to today's fit. We've got Samir here who plays at Sunbury Golf Club, if I'm correct by the head cover in the bag.
Yes.
Mind you, or it could be Wentworth.
Sudbury Golf Club.
Sudbury, okay,
Sudbury
yeah.
Golf Club, yeah.
And I'm fitting today, so in terms of in the main, what's the main MO today? What are we trying to
Yeah, I've
achieve?
been playing for about 2 years or so. Got my clubs fit when I was about 6 months into the game, so my swing's changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just want to get a view as to where my game is, how the irons are treating me, and see if there's any changes that need to be made.
Cool, great stuff. Well, that's nice and succinct. We know what we're doing. Let's get cracking. So basically, Samir's clubs, they're Mizuno the 923 hot metals and got Modus 115 shafts in. But the interesting bit spec-wise is that their standard length for Mizuno's model then, which is now 1/4 inch under where standard is, but they're up at D4.7. Now they're very consistent through the set. And the multi-compound grips make them swing weight just a little bit heavier, a point heavier, but that would still make them best part of D4 to D5 in terms of swing weight. So they're still pretty heavy. So head weight seem to be a little on the stronger side. And that's going to be one of the key things in particular, kind of looking at that stands out from a spec point of view as being a little bit interesting. So we'll definitely focus in on that.
Second one was a bit fat.
And would you generally play, would you play for a shot shape, or would you?
My natural shape has always been a draw.
Yeah.
I worked a lot on my swing path.
Yeah.
Because it was when I started playing, having played cricket and things like that, it's very much into out. It was like near 10 degrees into out.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time trying to get the path back across.
So you kind of more sort of orthodox front foot offside?
Sort of, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's just, I used to swing it a lot that way.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time with a massive bag here trying to pull it across. And eventually got it down, and now my swing path, I think, is usually fairly neutral.
Yeah, last one.
Yeah, I see it's usually just minus, sometimes plus.
Okay.
But I do struggle to keep the face open, so I would like to play a fade sometimes, but I just don't really have the swing for it at the minute anyway. Okay. Yeah, I would usually play for a draw as a natural shape, and if I'm not trying to do anything special, we should usually see it.
Okay, cool, great.
But yeah, when I'm hitting it good, I would say the ball flight is pretty straight. I don't see much of a shape at all anymore. With the longer irons, obviously, I see a bit more of a shape, as you would naturally expect. But no, nothing too much at the minute.
And actually, I'll probably sort of stop on that because that one's just kind of perfect. So it kind of shows what's happening in the setup where we're looking at head weights and that standing out heavy. This definitely shows that. So as you say, pathwise 1 to 2 degrees into out, really pretty. There's nothing to be worried about there at all.
Yeah.
But it's the club face control, and if you can deliver the path that consistently and have a pretty neutral angle of attack, then that's really where the head, where as heavy as it is getting a little out of sync, so you're then having to recover it into impact.
Sure.
And for some players, they'd pull on the handle, lift it up to kind of fetch the club to the ball, and it's high right for you because your hands chase through. That creates that kind of catapult over left. So that last one, it dropped a little more behind you, a little more inside, but then the face wrapped over. And then there's a tendency just to potentially catch the ground just before the ball as well. But if you're not really kind of working hard to get it through, then or rather you've got to, and that creates a volatile club face.
Right,
so that thing of finding it hard to hit a fade, that's because the more you sort of try and work it through that way, with your patterns, the head comes over, and you'd have to really kind of pull hard and open the face to get it to fade, and then it's just a really high short block.
Okay.
So that's the main thing from a shot dispersion point of view, and with where the lofts are, it's a pretty powerful flight, which you get, if I go into kind of the averages here, height, land angles, I'll add those in. It's it's not low, but the spin's pretty low. So you get a reasonable launch angle, but I'd like to see, I mean, best spin on those, I sort of got to 4,000. I'd like that about a good 1,000 higher. I'd like to see it kind of upper 4,000s. You've got plenty of speed and the quality of strike's good, but getting a bit more control coming into the greens, that's going to be the bit that means you're going to know, right, stood over a shot, I know I can't go, all else being, unless you get a flyer out of the rough. It's not going beyond that distance, and strategy calls get a little bit easier.
I think that's what I was thinking I would be looking for coming into the fitting, was I noticed that when I'm playing a lot of the time, I would sacrifice a bit of distance for a bit more stopping power on the greens and a bit more control. So it's interesting to see that in the numbers as well. Yeah,
and then when the face wraps, down goes the spin even more. So and that just means your kind of long left, short right spread becomes quite big. Because I mean, long left, you just can't talk to that shot. It's just not stopping. It's coming in hard and ripping, and then your only way to stop that is to go short right. So there's nothing swing wise that's getting in the way of that. But the better we get the setup, the less you've got to chase it through, and more you can just then turn and leave the face there. Then all of a sudden that flight quietens off, and then the distance discrepancies should really tighten up. So
cool.
So should be able to do plenty for that.
Yes, hopefully.
I'll start with a similar kind of head structure. We'll work on the weight and the balance first, see where that gets us, but we'll probably then migrate head style if we start to see similar numbers to that. That was a straight shot, but 3.9 is still pretty low for a 6-iron. We'll get the shot under control. Once we get that, we'll know where your kind of natural ball flight is, and then we can use the head to fine tune around that.
Okay, great. So, sounds good. It's not bad, that one. I'll take the shot on the course.
Should find that one.
That's a bit of a right one. Yeah, that's the miss there, the block right or the pull hook to the left is what I see.
I don't mind seeing that one as much because straight away you can see that you're not having to catapult the head through.
Right.
A lot of that then removes the left miss.
Okay.
As long as you carry on going with the swing and finish the move, then it's the one that gets behind for you is the one that then really, really whips over.
Okay.
So I'll get a couple more, but we've got more height immediately.
Yeah. That's the
dropped a little behind. Okay.
one that comes sometimes. That's like a very, if my swing's out of timing, I see that quite a lot, I would say.
Okay.
A very heavy shot. Especially recently, I've noticed the heavy shot is like the big issue.
Once the ground softens up, it becomes...
it's not forgiving.
It's that mud in the face that's just insult to injury, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so it's a lot better, less head heavy.
Yeah.
Still looks like you're having just to get the club to the ball, to kind of get the handle to the ball just a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's still a little bit of, we go into this, we see, land angles, ignoring that one, we're up at 45. And this is the same loft, so I've not done anything to doctor the loft.
Yeah.
But there's still that club face is still getting a little bit, so essentially you and the club are still just a little bit out of sync. You're having to get the club to the ball rather than just turn onto it and it's there. So what I do want to do is I just want to drop the dead weight down just a little bit.
Sure.
So.
Toey, that one.
Okay.
Better strike.
Okay. A little bit there. Okay. So interesting, that one,
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, it looked like it got rolled over a little bit. I was thinking, a little bit left, but only a little bit. So what's nice, by going lighter, you're not having to get it there, which for you then takes out the big rip left.
Right.
That's still quite a strong flight, but it's a much quieter club face through the ball.
Okay, that's nice. Good to, nice to see.
What's your typical sort of wedge number, sort of Scotsman? Okay, going light is definitely better. Okay. So we can see as you come through the ball, your kind of body, arms and club are much more in sync. So I'm just going to take that a little bit further.
Sure.
So that was from kind of 118 grams where the Modus 115s are down to 110.
Okay.
I'll take it probably 5 grams further. You don't need to go much more because also as you're fairly recent into the game, if we get it working well, then if you start the game more confident, you're going to be a bit more positive. So I don't want to go too light.
Sure.
But just find out where we bottom out, and that'll be kept for consideration.
I'm interested to know, what's it like having seen the YouTube videos and then coming in? Is it a kind of a different experience to what you were expecting?
Yeah, I watched a couple of videos. I found them really interesting. It's really interesting to see how all the works, the fitting works, and all the tiny little details that go into a fitting, and all the things that can be changed that can make such a big difference. And yeah, I would say the experience is so far pretty similar to what I've seen in the videos. I say it's a pretty accurate representation of how the fitting goes, how it all works together, etc. So yeah, so far I would say it's going well, and very similar style to how the videos I've seen.
Are you optimistic you're going to get the result you're after today?
I hope so. I'm in good hands, so I am optimistic, yeah.
We'll send you the check shortly.
A little bit thin, I think. That's the left one, I think. A little bit ahead of it.
It's a little left, okay.
Heel.
It looks a little bit more variable. Actually, I think I preferred the slightly heavyweight looks a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think also, just say with you're playing more, you're improving. Don't want to get, if we go almost too safe, then there's a risk you actually kind of develop beyond them. So don't want you to have to smash the heck out of them to get a result. But I do want you to have a bit more club to use as your game continues to develop. That weight almost gives you a little bit of solidity, security, where you can stay being positive with it and not have to end up steering it. Whereas at the moment it's the other way, where you've got to clatter it, which is probably, for you, is probably worse than erring slightly light, but equally speaking, you create a nice bit of speed, you can have a bit of snap through the ball. So you're generally going to be better at being a little bit more positive with the swing rather than sort of playing a quieter move. So I think if we go to that, for example, then we're almost kind of putting the shackles on you from improving rather than letting you let the shaft out a bit more.
Cool. Thin one.
A little low on the face.
Yeah.
Square.
Just me trying not to fat it. Similar.
Interesting. I got to go back to that first one. That one looks like you've just going back to having to get the bottom end there a little bit. I think the dead weight's close.
Right.
Cause the club as a whole is arriving pretty well, but it looks like you're just having to fetch that bottom end a little bit. So I'll just switch back to that earlier shaft. As you say, hence not quite bottoming it out. Whereas if you're having to fetch it, then it can make you just almost come out of it and flip a little bit.
Yeah, it feels It feels a little bit like, I wouldn't say it's obviously feeling lighter than what I'm used to, but it's not like a huge difference where I can really feel it. But it feels like when I'm swinging it, it's almost like I'm trying to flip it almost at the bottom. And it feels like if I get that timing wrong, I obviously get the really thin one or the fat one. So it's just about getting the timing.
Let's get this back in line with that first change.
Yeah.
Because actually, it was, you know, first one looked pretty good, but having hit some other ones, going back to it, sometimes where you've got, if the first one's just better than what you've got, it can look great.
Right.
Because it's just freer and easier, and you know, and then you can go back to it and it looks horrible if something else is better.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty close.
Okay.
But be interesting going back into it with it still looks a little cleaner through the ball.
A little bit heavy, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely heavy, that one. Slightly better.
Interesting. It's not far off. There's just an element of it just still sitting just fraction on your back hip. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring it down a couple of grams. So there's definitely, by keeping the balance away from the tip, there's definitely an element of having a bit more face control.
Yeah.
I think the first one left was where you were still used to having to fetch it from the other one, and then you've gone to a much squarer club face. It still just looks like you've got to get it there a fraction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll lose us a couple of grams.
Yeah.
So if you're enjoying seeing all these little fine tunes and tweaks we're making for Samir, then check out this recent video. It's about the most recent launches, the second half of this year, and like, subscribe, and check out the other content as well.
Definitely a heavy one. That's the one, me trying not to fat it.
Let's see one more.
Better strike of the three.
That was ripped, but it's. I'm just going to cross-check one thing just to make sure I'm not. I don't want to assume, because actually as you've hit through, starting to clear through a little bit more. I'm just going to get one that's marginally lighter handling, but leaves a little bit in the bottom end. I don't want to just assume it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's best to dot the I's and cross the T's, because actually it's starting to look like maybe creating a little bit of a drop and a little bit more of a lag, for want of a better phrase, might just help not to kind of dump the club head a little bit soon.
Maybe it's because I'm what I'm used to, I can imagine, maybe.
I think it's, as we've gone through, like that one looked like, it's whether that was the club working really well or just a really good swing.
Right.
So I just want to make absolutely certain and not assume that it's not going to work, just to make sure.
Just to make sure, yeah.
Okay.
The low
Swing
point,
line really nice on that.
Yeah, the low point felt better than that one. Just the face was just.
But it's got a little bit open, but the reason why I wanted to test it is that where you were having to really work hard to fetch it, going lighter immediately was easier.
Right.
But as you've started to hit more of the ones with a less, this isn't kind of massively bottom end weighted, but there's a bit in the bottom half.
Bit more.
then start to see you accelerate a little bit more and trust it and keep going on it, and then lose the bottom end a little bit.
Right, okay.
So as we've hit through, you just, it sometimes develops out of it. You go, actually, no, you do need a little bit. It's actually going slightly lighter in the handle end, but leaving a bit more of the mass in the bottom.
Okay.
So the dead weight's a hair lighter. Where this one's at 105.
Right.
But it swings a little heavier in the bottom. That helps you keep the handle going forwards and create a little bit of a later hit.
Right.
That just moves the low point forward a fraction.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so by going lighter, the handle's coming with you.
Yeah.
But we've then needed to give you a little bit in the lower half to not let it get through the ball too soon.
Sure.
So like swing weight, we're 3 points lighter.
Yeah.
D1.5. So it's a, you know, the shaft weight coming down will lose a little bit of, you know, swing weight will drop a bit because of that. But we're also, this is current standard length, so 1/4 inch longer. So that would normally make it swing heavier.
Yeah.
So about kind of 5 grams lighter in the head.
Right.
So it's really key where the weight is. But that one's, okay, we still want a bit more flight from a stopping power point of view, but that look, just point and shoot.
Okay, looks better, yeah.
Okay, I'll see one more of that. I might tone it back a fraction
Sure.
just to see, but those last two from a contact point of view are much cleaner. Yeah, that's much more consistent.
Yeah. Left the face open a touch on that one, but...
A little bit. I'm just going to tone the balance back a fraction.
Sure.
Thank you.
You know, like you said, the
So
spin.
I think because your initial clubs were so head heavy that was where it was a case of, right, get away from that.
Yeah.
But actually, the more we've hit, we need to kind of move, okay, not back towards it, but
Yeah.
it's not a higher, it's not a really high balance shaft. But we need to go dead weight lighter, but keep a bit in the lower half.
Sure.
But then drop the head weight as well. It's just that they were really head heavy.
Yeah. Bit of a fat one. Didn't quite get into it.
Okay.
That's the shank.
I'm going to go back to that last one, but I'm just going to take the swing weight down a fraction. Yeah, just immediately cleaner.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me, I'm trying to shift my weight better. That's something I've struggled a little bit with, is the way I can keep my weight on my back foot, and that can lead to a lot of the heavy ones.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I'm trying to keep it as consistent as possible.
I mean, potentially that's where, if they're heavy, you've got to get the club away and then get it back, but that can also get it away, move you off it, and then dump as well. So that in terms of timing was, if not but one of the simplest moves through, so the cleanest moves through the ball. So where it looks like you're able just to turn and collect. And the tidier we get that, the more repeatable it gets, but also it allows you to stay more balanced because you're not having to shift the club back into the ball. You can just turn the club around you.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the takeaway as balanced as possible. I feel like that helps a lot. Especially when I'm really focusing on contact. I think that will help quite a bit in keeping it as consistent as possible. That's a bit of a funny one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need? Okay. I'll watch one more. So whether we need just to, I like the way the shaft's moving.
Yeah.
It's whether it's slightly more head weight. It's whether the more confident you get with it, whether you start to hit against the weight a little bit more or not.
Sure. thing.
Let's take it fractionally heavier. Just fractionally. Great, thanks. The only other bit is just whether you're so used to having to work the club a lot into impact that your hands, you make quite a big adjustment, and whether some of that is just getting your hands and arms used to just relaxing and collecting it rather than fetching at it hard. There may be that there's just a little bit of a bedding in period with that, but I've made it just a little bit heavier.
Okay. That's the left one. Just got ahead of it a little bit. That's a good thin one. So I was trying to overcompensate for what I did on the previous swing. Because you get that heavy one that goes that way and all the way to the left. And then I'm trying to do the opposite, and hopefully on the third one it's find somewhere in the middle.
Still a nice line. I mean, the lines were still absolutely fine.
Yeah. Getting a little bit heavy.
I think I prefer the slightly lighter balance, but I'm just going to get a head that creates a little bit more flight.
Okay.
So I think there's a bit of it is just getting used to being able to declutter at impact a bit and just free your hands and arms up rather than playing a shot the whole time.
Right.
Because if I, not as you to hit it, but if I give you that to feel the balance of relative to what that one is,
go on, Taylor.
There's a lot of club on the bottom end. So if you just free up and try to just collect it, it's back there somewhere. Or you end up then ripping it over.
It does feel like I'm still trying to still really hit the shot. Almost, which I've had to do with these. Whereas, for example, with a lighter swing weight, like you said, maybe it's easier to just let it drop.
The best move I saw you make was with the slightly lighter setup. That first one, it looked really quiet and calm and just simple. But I think there's small muscles like being involved, but they end up screwing things up most of the time. If you were throwing a ball, you wouldn't flick your wrist at it, you just let it go. That swing, which is the first one with the lighter balance, looked like you just effectively let go and just say collect it, let the big muscles work and just freewheel through it. Some of the other swings have looked like you've been overworking the club head a little bit. So I think there's a bit of a bedding in period of getting used to not having such a sledgehammer on the bottom end and having to really fetch at it, that just as you get used to not having to, it's quite hard to not do something with kind of the hands and arms. You can actually the more you can free it up and just keep turning and collect it with the club head rather than actively kick the club head at it, that tighter dispersion is going to really kick in. But I think there's a little bit of an adjustment period because it's a heck of a difference actually in terms of head weight. But I want to get a head just to flight it, or a couple of heads just to add a bit of ball flight.
Oh, it was just a proper heavy swing. That was just a bit of a shank.
I think just face shot. It was heel side, but it wasn't quite one of those. Yeah, just face shot a little bit on that one.
Almost shank. Again, still feel like I can't
Make a bit of a twig. I'm going to switch to a different head on that. It's just not quite getting into the back of the ball. Doesn't quite fly. So the less tech you generally get a little less tungsten in the toe.
Yeah.
So they do swing a little bit differently. That one looked like there wasn't the same feel for the head as the other club head.
It did feel a bit like I was swinging something that didn't really have a head on it, like you said. It was a bit, very different, like you said, it swings different.
Let's take it back to one that's got a little bit of tungsten out the toe end.
Sure. Definitely a better low point.
Yeah.
Just try to keep the takeaway a bit more stable there as well. Bit of a thin one.
A little bit thin. It's interesting. There's having that bit of mass on the toe side.
Yeah.
It's the only difference really between the heads. Swing rate's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Loft is exactly the same. Construction's pretty similar other than that, and definitely flows better.
Yeah. It feels a bit more connected, I would say. Bit of a heavy one.
Little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna go. Just gonna grab one other head there. Okay. Again, good spin, 4.5 spin.
Yeah.
Just about straight enough that one.
Just about.
Oh, we got about 2 foot of shot shape.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
There's two strike patterns. There's the one in the middle and one in the neck. Right. You know, so you've got almost 2 types of strike.
Bit right, that one.
Prefer the other side.
Just a little. Yeah.
A little bit.
Nice swing on that, Keith. Yeah, really nice goal shot.
Well, it just oversaved it a bit because from the one just going a little bit right.
Yeah.
But for one that's got a bit of draw on it, you're still at 4.2 on spin.
Yeah.
It's still gone a little bit too far left, and you got
Sure.
144 efficiency. Yeah, it's still retaining a bit of ball flight. It's
Yeah.
interesting. So the ping we've gone to retains a bit of flight, but gives you just a little bit more margin of error than the T100 you're hitting just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Which where you're someone who's not steep into it, there's a bit more weight at the bottom of the head, which just seems to help to collect the ball a little bit more.
Sure.
If you're someone who kind of crashed down on it, then you might find a slightly different result between the two heads.
Right.
But where you hit down it, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Getting the weight lower in the head, it basically drops the sweet spot down the head a little bit.
Okay.
And where your strike point will then move down a half a groove or a groove, it's just helping it get into the right bit of the club face
Sure.
from a sweet spot point of view.
Yeah.
Whereas with this head, you've got to get it up the face a little bit more.
Right.
So just gives you a little bit more, or rather the sweet spot being lower is just the bit that you're tending to get. So if you're coming in de-lofted and shallow, it's more down the bottom half of the face.
Yeah.
So it's just helping pick the ball up a little bit
okay.
better. I'll watch a couple more of this.
Sure.
So it's certainly a neater head style than you've got.
Yeah.
The top line's a little bit thicker than the Titleist, but
Yeah, a little bit, I would say.
it's in that same kind of category. It's still, this head or previous models, a lot of the tour players have used. The i230, i210 is been a really popular head on tour. There's a bit of tech and a bit of help,
Yeah.
but it's not a cannon of a head.
Yeah. It's a bit, like you said, a bit more consistent in terms of how far you're going to hit it.
Yeah, and I think
When you strike it good, obviously.
Yeah, and you got punished a bit with the Titleist more than would like, but really just where the CG is on this head, the centre of gravity on that head, just It's just helping get a more consistent ball
Sure.
speed.
So even in the mid, you still got that setback because of the head to get a 118 ball speed.
Again, just felt a little bit on the inside.
I think I'd rather see it balanced the way you had it, where I took that weight out. I think it's a little bit easier for it to move. We'd have to fine tune it, sort of replace this and take a little more weight out the back in order to get it where we need it.
Again, similar.
I might, let me just take a, I'm going to just check on any heads I'm missing. I might just take just a real fraction of weight out of that. That's, I'm just going to pop a couple of heads back and just make sure I'm not missing any. I think what's good with that, even on hits that haven't been spot on, the launch angle's more consistent.
Right.
It's still getting the ball picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
So if we can just tidy up that contact a little bit, then the flight window is going to be much more reliable.
Okay. Face a bit open.
As you say, just face a little bit open. But yeah, the ones where the sweet spot sits lower on the face, like the 770 TaylorMade here, it's really good for someone who picks it a little bit more.
Right.
And straight away, the contact, the ball speed's there.
Okay. Again, face a little bit open, but that felt like a nice strike.
Yeah, contact really, really stable on both of those.
Just again, leaving the face. Don't know if it's me just trying not to hook it.
But your path's one a bit into out, so it's not like it's 5 into out and you're sending it massively right. That's just then a case of, you say, not trying to not go left.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ceding a bit of control and allowing the club to come through.
Sure. Yeah, just feel like that.
So easy in theory.
Yeah, easier said than done, for sure. Little bit heavy, but square of
Fraction,
face.
but that's the one where you just soften off and let the club come through.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to get the toe over.
Yeah.
Actually, that sort of left hand, your hands just relax and let it ride down. It's swing half a degree face to path. I'll watch one more of that.
Yeah,
and I'll
sure.
pop the ping back on. Ball speed's very consistent out of this, though.
Tried to be a bit more loose there, but just left the face a little bit, well, quite a bit open.
Okay, let me just pop the ping back on. Just I've gone marginally less heavy in the head than it was.
Sure. Again, a little bit, quite getting to the back of the ball there.
Yeah.
Tiny bit thin on that one.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Still reasonable performance off of it though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, still stayed pretty good ball speed. Still picked the ball flight up, which is good. I'll do for those contacts. The TaylorMade head's a little bit better.
Yeah,
a little stronger.
I felt was that the last one I hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little bit more like I had to work less to hit the ball in the right spot. I would say.
Okay.
If it's more forgiving or whatever.
So I'll watch one more of that,
Sure.
then I'll switch that back on. And I think ultimately, in terms of taking kind of an all-around approach, I think the 770 is. It's on. They'd probably call it players distance categories.
Yeah, it's
really
very
wide
broad
category,
now, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's it's just got that bit of tech, and that makes it look good low on the face. I've put a 4-iron of that in my set
Right.
for the same reason of I shallow out into the longer irons and I wanted to pick the flight up a bit.
Yeah.
But it's sort of graduated, so in the shorter irons you haven't got that much at all, and it gives just a little bit more through the set.
Yeah.
But for someone whose strike point's low on the face, it's a real standout. It's
Yeah.
not coming in with variable spins.
Sure.
So it's still a kind of a step on from a head
Yeah.
category than what you've got.
Yeah.
But it's not making it, for someone whose strike point gets down the bottom of the face, it still just retains better performance, I
Right.
think.
Okay.
But I'll see one more and I'll
Sure,
switch that
yeah.
back on. But I think the TaylorMade's probably in pole position at the moment.
Better. Still not quite. I mean, the face is just
Back all
another.
open. Yeah, let me put the TaylorMade back on. It's a little bit of a sound thing as well. The pings are slightly quieter sound.
Yeah, it's a bit more muted.
So, which sounds feel. Some
Yeah.
players like that feel. You might
Yeah.
feel like you get a bit more of a bit better shot value out the TaylorMade with it being slightly more of a kind of a pop off the club face.
How's the? I can't see other cameras in the way. I was just looking at that. The spin, is it better?
Spins around the 4.5 now. That one's 4.8.
Yeah.
The ping spins it just a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit, but
Yeah.
but they're both way up on your current ones.
What we had before, yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Just
one thing I was
general
thinking
pitch
of.
of like now we are higher loft. You know,
Yeah.
they're at 29 degrees loft.
Yeah.
So your current 6 irons down at 26.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be that we end up at 28, but equally speaking, it's a little bit of loft and a little bit of head style for sure.
Sure. That was the best strike so far, I would say. Well, I don't know if it is, but it felt like it.
Yeah, yeah. So still very efficient from a ball speed point of view.
Yeah.
But 18 launch, 450 on spin.
Yeah.
That's a 180 carry.
Yeah.
If we go back to where we were earlier, a 185
it was
carry was
the
15
variability.
and 3.6 or 17 and 3.9, which was
Yeah.
very, very square shot.
Yes.
Landed 44 degrees. That last one is
Yeah.
a little bit, it's mile an hour less, but we've got a bit more pitch
Sure.
flight, and it's landing at
Yeah.
46.5, but we've got another 500 revs of spin.
Yeah. It's a lot more consistent.
And that spin level has a pretty small tolerance on it. 400 revs for where they've not all been. There was one a little heavy that took a bit of spin off. Take that one out, and on a sugarcoat it, we take that one out, the tolerance drops to 260.
Right.
So for a cleaner hit, the spin run is much, much tighter, but being that much higher, that makes it so much more predictable when it lands.
Right. Okay. That's interesting how much that spin can affect that as well.
Yeah, it's a mixture of the kind of the height as well, but just especially when the ground firms up. This time of year it's plugging anyway.
Yeah.
But when the ground firms up,
Yeah.
and in order to get your scores down that bit more to be able to get in the single digits, you've just got less shots to play with.
Yeah.
And that one that goes long, normally long's really in trouble.
Yes.
So
Yeah, definitely. Especially on the course I play is quite. It's not a massive piece of land in London. It's it's quite packed in. It's not that you can go right or left, but long
Right.
and short.
Okay.
Long is the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. Long is a problem. Yeah, a little bit heavy on the toe, that one
got
as
a little
well.
behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just bad swing, I think.
Yeah.
Better.
Good contact. Yeah. Okay, so it had a bit more draw to it, which is
Yeah.
taking a bit of spin down.
Yeah.
So that one, path face just closed down a little bit. That's
Yeah.
taken a bit of spin off. Interesting. That's the only one that makes me think, is that a bit, but that might be a bit of an anomaly. Yeah.
can
It's
hit
one of
a
those
few,
where
yeah.
that one, from a ball speed point of view and consistency of contact, that's a bit of a standout. As a
Yeah,
head.
it is. Yeah.
it's not bombed. It's going to kick on when it lands a little bit more, that particular one.
Sure.
That's the only one that raises me a marginal bit of concern, for want of a better phrase, and that something like the ping just won't do that quite as much.
Yeah.
But you're not getting the contact out of the ping as much.
No.
So if I were prioritising consistency of contact, the TaylorMade wins out hands down. If we're doing every single thing we can to stop the one that just comes out a little hot as it draws, the ping does it slightly better, but the contact's not as consistent. And kind of all things told,
that contact is king, isn't it?
That's still a heck of a step on from where you are, but my only concern with the ping is, does that just make you have to be that much more on it every swing you make?
Yeah, that's true.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that still gives you a lot of performance, a lot of margin of error, enough margin of error. And for one that's drawn and come out a little bit strong, it's just making sure I don't kind of overcome. I want to check the lie on this, but I think, whilst I don't want the spin that low, that's more one that's drawn over and de-lofted a little bit. And it's an individual one. Everything else is up in the mid-fours on spin. But the consistency of carry and ball speed is better with that head. I think you kind of take everything into account. On aggregate, that head still wins out. I'll check where the lie is on this, just to make sure that's not influencing anything. So what I've done is I put a chalk line on the ball and set that vertical so that when Samir hits the next shot, it leaves the impression on the club face. And that shows me whether the toe up, toe down, and where this one's arriving at impact, and we can judge lie off that. Okay, there we go, So, setup wise, very, very slightly toe down, very slightly, maybe half a degree. But you can see it's very, very close to spec. So, it's just a case of bringing the toe up a fraction. I'll make a marginal adjustment to that.
A little bit heavy again.
Maybe it should give us a bit of a...
Yeah, as you can see, top of the face.
Yeah, you can see it's up the top of the face a little bit. Pretty square up the face there. It's with... I'd probably err to being marginally flatter because it's not left. I mean, it's marginal. Versus getting too upright. But something at these heads, it's the kind of thing that double check every now and then anyway, especially as technique develops out. It's likely to be a marginal tweak. We can move these easily. If we need to bend the lie slightly, we can do very, very easily on these. So it's the kind of thing that down the line that can be adjusted and adapted. If your delivery changes slightly, we can change that easily. So that's not a problem at all. So quite a nice change in head style. I think it was really a case of giving you something that's not going to can. I mean, these ones are designed to be, the Hot Metal series and Mizuno are more of a distance-oriented head. Plenty of forgiveness. Actually, the low centre of gravity works for you, but you've just got a strong loft and a bomb of a flight. Whereas the 770, the weight down the bottom definitely helps the contact a little bit better than the ping. And if you get one turning over, it comes out a little on the strong side, but the flip of that with the ping, I think, just punished you a bit too much if you weren't spot on. So as an all-round golf, we've got to look for what helps when you strike it well, but also let's not make it harder than it needs to be. And I think the balance of performance from the 770 just kind of rounded that off a little bit better than the ping. No, it was a really good experience. Enjoyed trying out all the different heads. I definitely felt that, having tried all of them and having tried the different swing weights, like you said, it's we've definitely seen some benefit there. So and it's really so reassuring how sensitive we all are. Actually, you're pretty darn sensitive to head weighting. So that timing through, I think it's a bit of decluttering to kind of get used to not having to manage the strike point and just free the swing up, and then really, really neutral ball flight. There's no need to hit the big sling draws anymore. But definitely. That right hand will have to get used to not fetching a bit. But that should really help take that next step on and get that move down to single figures.
Great.